I had no interest or even an idea about going into service at all until that one morning.
Growing up, it was during the Vietnam era, and remember in our neighborhood we had these older guys coming back, and they seemed to carry a lot of respect with them. A lot of people were fascinated that they had served in the Vietnam War, so that was my first introduction into military people.
As a young kid in middle school and high school, talked and seen and had decided that I wanted to serve in some capacity, and I also knew that I wanted to go to college. So I actually applied to the Naval Academy because they don't pay for school, but which was really the only opportunity I had to go to college. And I knew when I was in high school, as I looked at things, that I wanted to fly helicopters.
A guy came over I was playing football with and woke me up and said, "Hey, the recruiters are over." He was already signed up to go into the Marine Corps in an aviation program. And he came over and woke me up and said, "Hey, look, come over here to the recruiters, or the recruiters are over at the cafeteria. You need to go over there and talk to them."
Unlike Connor and I was working on my master's degree in college, and never had any inkling I would have enough discipline to be in the military, because I played basketball. I was on college on a basketball scholarship, so military was the last thing from my mind.
I figured out that I wanted to fly helicopters in the Marine Corps. And so I just, when I was a sophomore in high school, I set my sights on trying to get into the Naval Academy and the Marine Corps and be a helicopter pilot.
I was working on a master's degree. I was working in a correctional facility in Chicago, and I've been doing that for 2 years. And then one day I just told my wife, I said, I think I don't want to keep doing this for a career. And she said, "Well, what would be your other options?" I said, "Well, I could always join the military." And when she stopped laughing, she said, "Well, that's probably not that dumb of an idea."
And I'm like, Kevin, I don't want to go over there and talk to him. I'm sleeping. Leave me alone. And he kept bugging me, and I said, "All right, look, I'll get up. Give me 30 minutes. I'll get up and go get some coffee and go over there and talk to him."
And I was just fortunate enough that everything fell into place on my applications, and that's the route I ended up taking.
Next thing I know, I signed on the dotted line to go in the Marine Corps.
And they said, "Well, you need a technical background, like in engineering or something," which I didn't have. I had a criminal justice degree. But he said, "Hey, why don't you go to the Marine Corps next door and see what kind of aviation jobs they have?" So that's what I did, and next thing you know, I signed on the dotted line and went off to Officer Candidate School.
The three of us met in a squadron, a Marine Corps squadron on the West Coast. If I remember correctly, you came over there for the same reason I did, because that squadron unfortunately had a crash. Brian is an experienced guy. They needed experienced guys to take replacements of the pilots that were in the crash. And I was just a boot, new co-pilot, and they, for whatever reason, needed that. And I volunteered to go to the squadron, and that's where I met Colin and Brian for the first time.
We were getting ready to deploy. It was my squadron that had the crash. So a couple people got killed in training, which brought them over. But Brian and I met. We were training out off of ships. You don't just deploy on ships without kind of rehearsals. So you're on and off ships all the time. And I met Brian on a ship. They were the squadron that was you rotate going overseas every 6 months. So our squadron was getting ready to go overseas. His squadron was getting ready to do workups to take our squadron's place. I met him on a ship. We were doing a brief on a mission, and I met him one day on a ship. he was I guess advanced party for their squadron, just getting ideas on what we were doing and what to expect. And I briefly met him, and then we started hanging out in the squadron once he joined ours.
When the three of us were in the same squadron, we flew the CH-46 Seaman, better known as the Battle Frog. It was a tandem rotor helicopter, basically 2 rotor discs on top to the helicopter. I like to call that helicopter God's gift to aviation. I have got flight time in a number of different helicopters, but none of them were ever as much fun to fly as the 46.
You know, melting pot of people from all over the country, basically, and you get together and get to know each other, and you go through good times and bad times as far as things being hard and going through a lot together, and it really makes you close. You develop friendships for life.
It took me a while to get settled in, and I'll just cut to the chase here. And that unit was probably the best unit I had ever been in the Marine Corps. It was a 180-degree turnaround in my point of view. But like Conan said, it was the people that made the unit. And they just had a bunch of terrific guys who knew how to work together. And in my 25 years to this day, I believe that was the best unit I ever been in.
You work with such a different group of people. It doesn't matter your race, creed, color, sex, religion, natural origin. You all get along and you all work well with each other.
I think the military reinforced a lot of the same things Cotton talked about, working hard and being able to accomplish something, and just to be proud that, you know, I think I did my part to help continue a lot of the traditions of the great nation that we live in, to afford everybody in this nation the freedoms to do what they want to do, and let them pursue whatever dream it is that they have, and try to figure out what their dreams are, then figure out the path to get to their dreams and start working towards it.
I mean, I'm proud that I served in the military, and I can say that probably the pride, just being able to say that, yeah, I served and you gave up something for your country, you know, that means a lot. I know it means a lot to anybody in the military, serving today or that has served.
Just being able to look at this nation, what our country offers to people that no other nation in the world has, it is a good place for a lot of pride to come out that we were able to serve in the military to help do that. So when we look back, I'm absolutely proud of my career because it's a huge part of it. But it's nothing to add other than what they said. I think it's just the people we are, and it's just part of us now.
You know, we worked so much in the military, and we were gone. I was gone so much that I never had really time for a relationship.
When I first got in the squadron, if somebody had told me at that point in my life that I would be married before I got out of the Marine Corps, I'd have laughed him off the streets. And part of the reason was that, I mean, I saw what the Marine Corps does to families, and it's really hard, and I never wanted to put anybody through that.
The one thing with the military, in your deployment schedule, it's really tough on families. And I gotta hand it to the wives and the families of military people, because it's tougher on them than the actual person in the military, because you're gone a lot. I got tired of deploying, and I was single, so it's tough. I never did develop. I didn't get married or find. I've been married for 20 years now, but I met my wife right after the first Persian Gulf War when I came home. and then shortly thereafter I got out of the military. So it's tough to settle down and find a companion while you're in the military. I found it hard. Somebody that you're going to live with the rest of your life. Of course, Brian, you were married, weren't you?
Yeah, I was one of the few officers who came into the military married. It was pretty rare. Yeah, it's not how I really dealt with it. It's basically how she dealt with it. Because I'm in a unit with all my acquaintances, all my friends. So to me, it's like a big holiday. Where she is left home alone to fend for herself, take care of the household, take care of the bills, take care of the leaking pipes, take care of any other issue that comes up, which she isn't normally used to doing because I do it, or the male does it.
What a lot of people don't understand as they look at the military and the military families and the deployments is the reality is the deployments are easy on the military member. They're easier because, like Brian said, when it was time to deploy, I threw my stuff in a sea bag, went to the ship, and I had all that time to focus on work. Whereas back at home, the spouse at home just picked up double the workload, whether it be chores around the house or paying bills or any of that nature. So I think the military spouses are extremely underrated and unheralded in this company or in this country because of that.
Before Brian joined, we were married and we were doing fine. But there was just not much purpose. It was just working. I had to give up my job teaching and follow him when he became a Marine, but I didn't mind it because I was so involved. When he was in basic school, it was just a big change in our lives. Huge change from just being ordinary people to being a part of the Marine Corps. Brian was an officer. And it was just absolutely full of excitement.
I think we did bring something into our unit because since we were the only married couple, one of the few married couples, a lot of the single guys would congregate towards our house in order to feel the family atmosphere, because a lot of the guys were away from their homes or their families, so when they came over to ours, they were able to see a relationship that they kind of missed. So
I forget, you tend to think about the good things. I forget the times that are so scared, so terrifying, like 9/11 when Brian was in the Pentagon, we thought he was dead. We went through several hours waiting for that phone call to say I'm alive, and we were looking on television thinking, I called up Conan and everybody I knew that day just to hear word of it, what was going on, and no one had a word to say until finally hours later Brian called. It was a terrifying thing. It's like when they go to war and they have to do the best that they can in war situation. We're seeing them on television. They don't know we're watching. Everyone's watching them. And I can't imagine doing what they're doing when they're out there fighting. But they're darn brave people, these Marines. They're really, really brave and amazing men. And I think the military really shaped them in being men that it's the foundation of the country. Nobody else compares to these guys.